Ryan Garcia is a talented fighter, good businessman, but fucking disgust me, you dirty. But he also said that he's never going back to 135 unless it's a fight team.
There's still some names at 140. I just want you to pick a name at this point, my guy.
Passing out the medicines. We've been on that rock star regimen, knowing that I'm heaven sent, higher than I ever been. I got a problem with.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to Totally Blitz podcast. And we're stepping into the Fight Club right now. Before we get in and talk our shit about the Ryan Garcia Javier Fortuna fight, do us a favor, go down and like this video, and do yourself a favor, subscribe to the channel and check us out on anywhere you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, we're there. But let's get into it. Let's introduce our host right now. I'm Paul Pickle Winham Concha. I'm ready to talk some shit, and I'm joined with.
See, man, it's bad luck, I feel like, for me. Because last time I had a big white cup on the motherfucking podcast is when I had the Aaron Rodgers sippy cup.
Oh, brother.
So, like, and then I got that shit did not age well because I was dumb sick by the next episode. But I'm not sipping out anything. I promise. All I'm eating is grapes. I'm eating grapes in this motherfucker. Black grapes to be exact. Black is beautiful, but I don't know about my grape. But if you didn't know, I don't mind telling your dumb ass again. Under the rock ass motherfucker. It's your boy Lil KK, aka the Don PYE, aka Kev Waterboy Boy. And I gotta come up with the fight nickname, but you know I'm a street fight enthusiast. So we here to talk a little bit of boxing. Ryan Garcia, your cousin. I wouldn't even call him my name.
Boy, I'm not gonna lie.
I be wanting to hate on, bro, but it's hard to hate on a nigga that got skills. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I want him to say I just don't like him. I just wish that he would challenge himself more, so that way I could dick like, oh my gosh, this man's the best. This man's the best fighter I've ever seen.
And if y'all was living under a rock and y'all didn't know, that boy Javier Fortuna got knocked down in the 6th round, and even before that, I think Garcia dropped him in the 5th round also. So like the signs are coming that the fight was coming to an end. And I'm just gonna toot my horn a little bit because I ain't placed no bets on it, so I didn't put my money where my mouth was. But if y'all paid attention to the picks, we all called Garcia again the dub, but I did say 6th round KO, and that boy did it in the 6th round. So I'm just gonna toot my horn a little bit on that. If y'all followed, y'all cashed.
I respect it. I was really hoping there would be like a surprise. It wasn't. But what did you get from the fight? Because pretty much I just seen like, bro got skills. He can throw combinations all day. He doesn't really get hit like that. And he's ready to fight.
Much better fight than the Tago fight because Tago was running around the fucking the whole time. There was never any clashes, any real thrown hands, anything that connected. So we didn't really get to see Garcia really have a tuna fight. And I think that's why he fought Fortuna, because that wasn't even a real tuna fight. And now he got his tuna fight. I called it. Like, he looked like it, especially come Saturday night. It definitely looked like a tuna fight because it was all one-sided. I don't think I could even give Fortuna a single round going into the KO. But yeah, no, that fucking left hook it's fucking lightning fast. I mean, I think that's what dropped him in the 5th round, and that's definitely what got the KO in the 6th round. And it wasn't just the left hook, but he can throw 3 punches just as quick as one. Like, he's just like, his hands are lightning fast.
And it upsets me. It really does. Cause like, bro, it's that dude. Cause like, from where I got to the fight, they're like, he's gonna keep up. He's gonna control the pace, and he's gonna do that against literally 80% of the people in his weight class. So like, why does he not just challenge these motherfuckers? But how do you feel about the post-fight interview? Because these are a couple of things he said. First, shout out mental illness. Mental health is something you don't play with. Whatever he said. And then he said, you got to stop hating on him. So that's why I'm not coming over here yawning this shit, because he is a good fighter. He does have skills. But he also said that he's never going back to 135 unless it's a fight Tank. No, he said he's never going back to 135. Tank is the next fight, though. He wants Tank to come up. But first off, how do you feel about him not going back to 135? Because he looked decent at 140. But, like,
He's big for 135, so I can see him moving up. I still think it's early. He's still young. He hasn't really fought anyone other than Campbell. That was his one real test outside of at 135.
He fought Gamboa. He had Gamboa, didn't he?
He did. I mean, everybody got Gamboa 135 at this point. 135 to 145, Gamboa's name's on a lot of resumes. But Garcia, I want him to stay at 135. I don't think he should fight Haney. I think Haney's probably, I don't know. I don't think he's getting the rematch with Kambosos because I think we would have heard much more noise about the rematch. And we haven't really heard anything or any team pushing for it. So my fight that I wanted to see coming out of this fight was Garcia versus Kambosos. Because I think that'd be a good fight. That's a real true test. I think he can beat Kambosos. I think he has the talent for it too. And that's a real notable name to throw on there. Former champ. Former unified champ, beat Teofimo. But if he goes up to 140 and stays there, I mean, like, he's gonna have to fight Teofimo, and I don't think he wins that. And he has to fight Josh Taylor, who I don't think he like. There's just as many tough fights at 140 than there are more tough fights at 135. Don't get me wrong, but there's still some names at 140. I just want you to pick a name at this point, my guy. There's any of them. Just pick a name and fight them.
I think for one, like you said, he is pretty big at 135. And then like now you can just add the 135, like gatekeeper. Like there's probably a Gamboa. There's probably another Gamboa at 145. And then you can start running down on those gatekeepers to fill his resume. But I don't think he's gonna fight anybody for real. I generally don't see him fighting anybody because I like that you said the Kambosos fight because that would have been a great fight. And he probably could beat
big draw.
But I don't see him fighting anybody like decent until like I feel this was watching. I see him playing his cards really, really well, and like because the championship is unified at 135. So until somebody starts getting their belt snatched by the division, there's always gonna be one champ. So I feel like in the long grand scheme, he doesn't see himself winning a championship at 135. So like at 145, you can at least still get a belt because they're not unified over there, are they?
You mean 140? At 140, it's John. 140. I mean, it's that unified with an asterisk because Josh Taylor has 3 of the 4 belts, but he vacated one of the belts so he could fight somebody. So it's kind of like that's what I'm saying. I don't think he beats Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor runs 140 right now, and until someone from 135 moves up, like Haney in the future or Stevenson going up, like we're not gonna like. I don't. There's still tough fights. He still has Jack Cotterill at 140. But he's not going to fight any of them. That Tank fight's all smoke and mirrors, I believe. I don't think they're both going to play the blame game. Like, and I don't think either side's right. Like, I think it's like Tank side can say, oh, Garcia doesn't want the fight. And that might be true, but it also might mean they're offering a 65-35 split type shit. Tank gets 65%. And like, Garcia doesn't want that. But then you can twist that around as like, oh, Garcia don't want to fight. So, like, I do think there's a lot of business and shit going on between that fight, and I just don't think their business – they don't like each other. I don't think that business is ever going to, like, work with each other unless it's, like, the biggest fight in boxing, and then it's going to happen. But it's not going to be that, and I don't think it ever will.
Hey, man, that's real, man. But that's your cousin, man. Well, what else happened on this card? I feel like you was telling me about a couple upsets or something going down.
So, we had one big-ass upset. It was – Ricardo Sandoval, I think it was like 7th ranked in the 112 division, at least by WBC or WBA. One of the promoters had him ranked 7th. Solid dude. And then David Jimenez in just his 12th fight. He was 11-0 going into the fight. Huge underdog. Didn't have much experience like Sandoval. And he just absolutely worked him. Got the decision win. Dropped him in like the later rounds. And it was just a complete it was a good fight. But wow, was it a big upset, especially when he dropped him. That shit was crazy.
That's interesting. I love upsets in boxing.
Especially because I like it too, because especially in boxing, the odds be so heavy. Because it'll be like a minus 1,000 favorite going against like a plus 800 underdog, and then plus 800 underdog wins. Like, what? Like that was not supposed to happen at all. That's
I like upsets in boxing because they're remembered forever. Like when when what was it? Bernard Hopkins beat Mike Tyson's. Like people talk about that to this day. Like, and they said the strategy was literally, see, people be scared of Mike. So when you backing up from Mike, you let him fully extend. I get in his face. And then and then his mom just died like the week before that or some shit like that.
Something to fight for.
Hell yeah. So like I always love like I remember the Ruiz and Joshua camp. I was upset because I was at work. So I missed the Ruiz Joshua fight. And I'm a Wilder fan, so I'm always rooting against Joshua at the time. Now it don't really matter. But at the time I was. So Ruiz, I remember just looking at the all access because he was gonna fight this big baby dude first. And the big baby dude and Joshua just not like each other. Like this is Joshua's coming to America. I think he's fighting in Madison Square Garden or somewhere in New York. Like it's supposed to be a big deal. And he's just over here fucking that shit up. So they ended up catching that nigga for PEDs. And then Ruiz jumped in. And I remember watching like the videos and I was just thinking like it wasn't all access and nothing like that, but it was like the DAZN version of that shit. So now I remember just watching that shit thinking like, yo, this dude low-key can fight. I don't think it could be Joshua, this fat motherfucker. But nah, this dude can fight. Like I'm just looking at this shit and now I'm seeing Freddie Roach put respect on him. And I'm like, I'm a Mayweather fan. So, Freddie Roach's opinion doesn't really mean much to me. But Freddie Roach is probably like one of the greatest trainers in boxing ever. So like him saying that Ruiz could fight too. So like, and then just watching that upset, just knowing that upset still gets talked about to this day. And it's remembering, like, it's always beautiful just to see a nice upset in boxing.
And
so the fact that
I would say not a lot of people talk about also in the rematch, AJ, they put him in a smaller ring. So there was less footwork involved. So it was a lot more close quarter combat. Like I didn't realize that you could fucking change. I thought the boxing ring side was always the same. I didn't realize some rings are slightly smaller, slightly bigger. And usually the A side gets to pick all that. Joshua being A side, even not being the champ, he got to pick all that. And on top of it, Andy Ruiz came in probably the sloppiest I've ever seen. Like he just came in heavy, came in sloppy, didn't train, was in Vegas partying, being a champion of the world. So I think if it was the same mindset Ruiz had in that first fight, I do think that because I'm not the biggest Joshua fan. I'm not really too keen on him. So I do think he's a great fighter, but I do think Andy Ruiz if he would have been on another good day, it might not be just an upset. It might be.
I love it, man. But no, man, let's talk more Ryan Garcia though. RG.
Garcia, well, I mean, outside of the fights to come up, we know he has fast hands. We know he puts combinations together. We know he doesn't get hit often. And his footwork is fine. He's lengthy. He's very long for the division. But he's just at this standstill where I feel about Tank also. Like you just you just have to go start putting your name into those belt conversations. And I haven't seen you even try to put yourself into those belt conversations. And that just makes me not want to really back you as much as other fighters, because you might have all the talent in the world, but if you're not really fighting nobody, what is there to talk about?
I respect it to the fullest, man. I just look at bruh and I just think because boxing is such you can't have more than one loss type of sport. So I just really sit down and think like you said, he's never gonna put himself in a championship. He's never gonna put himself in a championship contention. So what is can you really do an entire boxing career where you make you make your money in the ring? Definitely, you're talented and stuff like that. But can you really do an entire career and never thinking? Well, I wouldn't say never thinking, but just never putting yourself in that name, that title talks. Is Tank and RG? Is that a thing that's going to continue happening? Is that thing that's already been happening? It's whenever I look at them, those are the questions I ask. I just be sitting there thinking there's because the next generation of dudes is nice, like Shakur, Bam, them boys is nice. So I'm just sitting there thinking y'all are they just gonna expire?
And it's kind of, I think, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but what I think is they might just be waiting because some of these belts are tied up with unified champions that they might not think that they can beat, or it might be a 50-50 fight and they don't want to be put in that position. They always want to be in a 7-30 fight. So I think they might wait for they might move up a division. They might like do all that stuff until they find someone that's like a lone champion with one belt that they know they can beat, like and then they beat them. They become the WBA champion, and they do like all the defenses. They never unify, but that's on their resume. They're the WBA champion, but like they sit on that one belt. Because that's what the signs are pointing to me is like if you're not doing it now, when are you gonna do it?
Dead ass, because they're entering their primes. Like Devin Haney, Haney still has
same. I think he came after Garcia, and definitely after Tank. Like he was the very next year after Garcia, or the second year. So like for him to be doing it already is just like, what are you doing? But great fighter. We hope he gets a fight with Tank. We don't want to just completely throw it. We hope that fight happens. I know it'll be a good fight. I don't think it's going to be one-sided like all the Tank fans think and all the Garcia fans think. They all both think that their guy's just going to walk in and beat the other guy. I think it's really going to be a fucking spectacular fight. And outside of that fight, move up to 140, but fight somebody. I don't care. Be in whatever weight class you want, but stop picking fights where it's 70-30. At least make it 60-40, okay? At least give us something where we can enjoy.
Yeah. I want to see some blood.
Yeah, I want to see you tested, tried and tested. But enough of Ryan Garcia. We're about to step out on this motherfucker, but we also got UFC episodes dropping this week, so tune into those. Big. Also, we got the London card coming up later this week. No boxing really talked about, but stay tuned for Totally Blitz because we got a lot of shit coming your way. Kev, you got anything to add before we step out?
Ryan Garcia is a talented fighter, good businessman, but fucking disgust me, you dirty bitches. Fuck all of y'all.
Got you on 4K.
Problem with being problematic. Get the light beam on me, ready for electrostatic. Don't you step into this box if you're not batting. Then my gang got tools, you can call them boy crap. Man, this gang got rules, man, you better watch your passes. This ain't not new.